family. They love the family, they love the movies.
Hello and welcome to Film with Family. I'm Austin.
And I'm Zach.
And we are two cousins who like to talk about movies. And today, we're talking about the 60th annual Chicago International Film Festival. Zach and I attended the festival this year together, saw tons of great and interesting films from all over the world, and we're going to talk about it.
And this is also, shall we say, our season finale?
It is. This is the season 2 finale. This will be the last main feed episode, full episode at least.
Been a great season. Do you have any favorite episodes looking back?
Well, I was making this list of what season 2 was all about.
Mm-hmm.
We did a lot of fun little themed things. So, you know, we had Oscar fever this year. On the Patreon, we covered a bunch of Oscar winners. That was our first Patreon series.
Yeah, Best Picture winners about family.
Renewed or started the tradition of kicking off the season with the Oscar noms and then covering the telecast. And we also just randomly on the main feed happened to have some Oscar nominees and winners in there, like Gladiator and Some Like It Hot,
Sea Biscuit,
Toy Story. We also did our creature double features. So we did a lot of movies about animals.
and a lot of movies about making you laugh. Comedies.
Yeah. The trifecta of tomfoolery. Where in that series, we invited some other friends' families, like Paul and Scott and Tim and Rothschilds.
Mm-hmm. That was fun.
We had a mini-series about a mini-series, Lonesome Dove.
We even got to talk to Sonny Carl Davis. That was really cool.
Yeah, and we got to talk to Herod Blank for our Burden of Dreams month. And for that, I just want to shout out my dad, Glenn, who did a lot of work for that. He reached out to Herod. He reached out to Sonny Carl Davis.
Yeah. He's like the secret producer of the podcast. You know, he's pulling strings for us, making things happen.
He's the shadow behind Film with Family. And we also promoted our Uncle John's new book, The Tipping Healthcare.
Yeah.
Our Sicko episode. And we just had a lot of classic cousin chats with Scout, with Caleb, Drew, Jasmine, Kim, Alicia.
Yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of family.
Mm-hmm.
Should we give out awards for most downloads?
Yeah. From the podcast apps, these are the ones that got the most downloads. So number 5.
Drunken Master 2.
Woo!
Caleb and Drew.
Congrats, guys. At number 4, Zach, me and you got this one. The first episode of the season, the 2024 Oscar noms.
Number 3, we got Toy Story with Alicia and Amory.
Woo! A child has come in third place.
Maybe we got to invite him back. He's a great guest.
Yeah, he'll just get better at talking every time we come back to him.
Yeah.
At number 2, our interview with Herod Blank. Incredible. Yeah. One of the coolest things that I think that we've done in this podcast, get to talk to him.
Yeah. And he was so generous with his time and had great answers. It was a very enlightening interview.
Yeah, it was great. And at number 1,
Uptown Girls.
Yeah. Uptown Girls. Yeah, Scouts episode, Uptown Girls. And so, if you notice here, Zach, we've got the first episode, the second episode, the third episode, and the fourth episode, all in the top 5. So, what does that say?
It was a strong start to the season.
Yeah, so people kind of dropping off after the Toy Story episode, it seems like. But
yeah, they came back for Herod Blank. That was nice.
But on the YouTube channel, it's a different scene over there, and so I made this list based on the hours watched. So at number 5, once again, we have the Herod Blank interview at 17 hours.
Number 4, Some Like It Hot, 21 hours.
At 3, we have Lonesome Dove Part 1 at 28 hours. And then at number 2, Lonesome Dove Part 2 at 62 hours.
Wow.
People are really listening to that.
Yeah, they really want to know what's going on in the back half of Lonesome Dove.
Yeah, that was a solid episode. My dad really kept us on track on that one. That was a good app.
Yeah, I love the Lonesome Dove series. Jasmine said it was our best episode. So,
speaking of Jasmine, who's at number 1?
Furiosa with Jasmine at 121 hours of listening time on YouTube.
Wow, that one has over 10,000 views. So amazing. We've really duped the public into thinking that link is Furiosa.
Yeah. I also launched the Film with Family TikTok and
oh, right.
Been pulling some views from there.
Mm-hmm.
A clip from Homeward Bound that Caleb's talking about the ending of Homeward Bound. It has over 40,000 views.
Wow.
And
40,000.
Over 1,300 likes. That video's doing some numbers. So check us out on TikTok at Film Family.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we also had the competition of who gets the most mentions this season. We had Randy Newman in the running with 3 mentions. For coming up on our Seabiscuit episode, our Babe and Pig in the City episode, and also Toy Story. But then there's also Chris Cooper.
Yeah.
From Lonesome Dove, Seabiscuit, and American Beauty. So they're neck and neck.
Yeah.
But I also just realized Hans Zimmer.
Ah, yes.
He did the score for Dune Part 2, which we covered.
He's the dark horse.
Yeah. And he did the Rain Man score.
Gladiator.
And Gladiator. And did one of the movies that we saw at the festival. Do you know which one?
Oh, I don't.
Blitz.
Oh.
So that's four for Zim.
Wow.
The dark horse takes it.
Zimmer out of nowhere.
Congrats, Zim. You got the most mentions.
We also we were arguing whether this is the year of the horse or the year of the pig.
Oh yeah. I kind of think year of the pig.
Yeah, and I kind of thought year of the horse, but again, we have a dark horse in the race. Could it be the power of the dog, actually?
What?
Because we had the Homeward Bound, we had Milo and Otis, and we watched Puchinsky.
Plague Dogs.
Plague Dogs. So I think there's a dog in there too. Anyways.
But the pig had a good fight because you got Moo the pig from Uptown Girls, and you got Babe, obviously, from Pig in the City. There's some other pigs in there.
There's a pig in Fritz Corraldo, but
okay.
But Twisters had horses. Seabiscuit, obviously, horse.
Harry and Snowman.
Harry and the Snowman. Well, we did a 2-horse episode, so that doesn't really count.
It counts as 1 horse, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Blazing Saddles is kind of a stretch because there's horses.
Oh yeah, it was the pigs in Lonesome Dove. Like
there's horses in Lonesome Dove too.
I know, but they talk almost more about the pigs that they're traveling with more than the horses.
What about the Hell Bitch?
Yeah.
They're talking about horses.
But those pigs make a big impact in Lonesome Dove. So
there's also horses in Gladiator. There's horses in Megalopolis too.
Oh, the chariot part?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Madison Square Garden. There's a lot of horses. There's a lot of pigs.
And a lot of dogs.
You tell us. What's the year? What year is it? Are you a pig guy? Are you a horse lady? Are you a dog person? What's the year this year? Let us know. But We're talking about the 60th annual Chicago International Film Festival, baby.
6-0. That's a nice number.
Yeah. And so our fans from last year will remember that we did a Chicago International Film Festival episode last year for the 59th, but Zach, you weren't able to go to that one. So it was kind of a lopsided episode where I was basically just telling you about all the movies I saw, and you were just like, cool, sounds great.
Yeah, I saw a couple screeners, but I didn't get to experience the festival really like you did. Not this year.
Until now.
We both got our press badges. Film with Family crew was there.
Yeah, all two of us. And yeah, it was a great weekend. Zach, you came in on a Thursday night, and then Friday morning, bright and early, we hit it. Before that, I actually was able to catch a few screenings. So I saw Conclave.
Yeah, nice press screening of Conclave, which that movie's out now, but you got to see it early.
Yeah, and it does kind of fall. I was thinking about doing an episode for Megalop month because it does take place in Rome at the Vatican.
Yeah,
So,
fits in perfect with Megalopomonth, actually.
yeah, I gotta say, a lot of people, they're conclave. Zach, I'm proclave. I loved Conclave. One of my favorites of the year. The first thing that I'll just say is I loved all of the Catholic doodads and shrouds and costumes, rings, necklaces, all of these traditions that they have and these special objects, especially when you're transitioning from one pope to the next. They really show all that stuff in vivid detail, like these bowls that they drop their votes into, and the style of cinematography was very much like a Renaissance painting. And just in general, it just reminded me of some of like the best political or like kind of courtroom dramas that you've ever seen. I've heard a lot of comparisons to 12 Angry Men, which I think is pretty astute
hmm
comparison. It's like an investigation, it's a mystery, it's kind of a stranger comes to town. There's all these secrets and corruption and controversy going on. And it's a little catty. Like there's all these cardinals are kind of like gossiping and spilling tea on each other. There's like some drag race vibes going on. Like everyone's kind of a little bit bitchy. So there's like this reality show aspect to it.
Nice. You like,
Yeah.
and it's got a trifecta of middle-aged white men in it with Ray Fiennes and Stanley Tucci and Lithgow, right?
Yeah. And Isabella Rossellini. And some of the side characters are really strong too. They're not as recognizable like their faces, but yeah, the soundtrack is really good. There's like this element of like Ralph Fiennes like huffing and puffing through his nose throughout the whole movie, like where he's like racing from one end of the Vatican to the other to like talk to these different cardinals, and he's like, "Okay, we're moving, we're moving." Starting off real strong here. I am highly proclave.
Yeah. I still need the clave. I haven't claved
You got a
yet.
clave, bro.
I need a clave.
You're gonna clave.
This is directed by the guy who made All Quiet on the Western Front,
Right.
Oscar-winning film, still 2 years
2 years
ago.
ago. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we did talk about it on the early Oscar episodes, but yeah, he's back.
Yeah. And that was one that snuck up on me too, that I wasn't expecting to be so floored by. But like Megalopolis and Gladiator, it's very much that like battle for power between, a progressive route and a fascist route. And it is literally about like how they want Rome to be guided and morally pointed. So I don't know. Megalop month continues.
Yes. Was it a good crowd where people revved up for Clave at your screening?
No, I mean, it was just, it's just me and a bunch of press people who just do this every day. Feels like very routine. My favorite part of the press screenings, no trailers. Lights go down, fire it up.
Yes.
Feels like your living room. So the other movie that I saw before you came into town was Nickel Boys.
This one's getting Oscar buzz, I hear.
Oh yeah. So this is directed by Ramel Ross, and I believe this is his debut feature film. Nickel Boys based on a book about real life reform school in Florida during the Jim Crow South. And it's basically about these two boys that are caught up in this horrible, violent, racist institution. But it is told in a incredibly unique way in that it's from the perspective of these kids. Like the camera is literally their eyes. You are going through this horror literally through their eyes. So, I mean, you want to talk about an empathetic movie. You are literally in their shoes. Some of that is used to make us feel scared, but also I thought it does a really good job of making you feel confused, like they would probably be. Like, why
Hmm.
am I here? What's going on? What am I supposed to do? Why are these kids treated differently than me? And they don't really spoon feed you all of that stuff. So you have to kind of just live within it.
Yeah, you're just locked in with the boys. You're
Hmm.
not seeing other characters or other scenes without them kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you are, but I mean, it's just from their perspective. And
Hmm.
it switches between the two kids' perspectives. So you see both of the main actors, on screen at different times, but you're either from one person's perspective or the other.
So you never get a good two shot of both of them because you're.
Well, you do though, because there's all these really cool reflective mirror shots that they pull
Oh, okay.
off.
I see.
Personally, the POV point of view, like there's that one TV show, what was it called?
Peep Show.
Peep Show. I could never watch that because I just feel nauseous.
Hmm.
But the creativity of it is just gorgeous. And I did find myself pretty lost within the frame. I wasn't as nauseous as I usually am in movies like that. Yeah, I mean, it was innovative. It was really tender, immersive, educational. Like they're using these there's an incredible use of time jumps, which I won't really go into because I'll probably spoil it. But using old footage from that era, photos, artifacts, cultural moments that kind of just fill out where they are in time. It's a really, really powerful film. Yeah, I would be shocked if it doesn't get a nomination,
Yeah.
if not the
And
win.
there's no notable famous actors in it really. It's just kind of unknown actors mostly.
Daveed Diggs is in it.
Oh, okay. He was in The Little Mermaid as the as Sebastian the Crab, right?
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. He's probably most famous for Hamilton. Yeah, he plays an interesting character in this, which again I won't spoil, but you got to see it. Got to see Nickel Boys. It's upsetting. It's not an easy watch, but it is quite beautiful.
Yeah, I'm looking it up and it says it's supposed to have a limited theatrical release around December 13th of this year. So keep an eye out for Nickel Boys. I'm sure we'll be talking about it when the Oscar race gets started.
Yeah, it's got to get a couple noms. I think it'll be up there with the best pictures.
Were there any other movies that you saw?
I caught The Last Republican on a screener, which is the documentary about Adam Kinzinger. He's an Illinois congressman who became famous for rebuking Trump after January 6th. He was on the council for January 6th, and it's about a Republican who's, fighting for the country, fighting against Trump, and what that means for him and his career. And it goes into where he came from and all that.
He's an interesting guy or not that much?
It's interesting enough to watch and be like, okay, but I mean, a lot of it is the January 6th hearings. It's a lot of him reflecting on January 6th and talking about like his upbringing as like a conservative Republican and how he believes in country over party kind of stuff. But the thing that rubbed me the wrong way with this one is that the director really inserts himself as a liberal, he's really trying to make clear to the audience that he's not a Republican and that he's doing this because he thought that Adam Kinzinger is a interesting guy. And Adam Kinzinger did it because the director, Steve Pink, directed Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh, he was a
Yeah.
fan of The Machine.
Yeah. Good director,
He's
but
dabbling into documentary now, I guess.
yeah, we don't have to talk about this one too much. Just that Steve Pink is really making it like he's really going out of his way to be like, you're a Republican and I don't like that, but there's something about this guy that I like, And so I don't know. I was kind of rubbed the wrong way with that one.
And you see something called Okie or
Yes, a friend of the family is actually in it. Steven Spencer, who I've spent a few parties with. He came over to Christmas actually one year in Florida.
hmm.
And I saw on Facebook that he was featured in one of these movies, so I checked it out. And it's a nice little film about a guy who's like a writer who wrote about his. You know what? I wanted to start actually reading from
The film guide.
to describe these movies so that we can get it right for once.
Straight from the source.
So, directed by Kate Cobb. When a famous novelist returns to his rural Illinois hometown, he receives a mixed welcome that's equal parts admiration and resentment. It reminded me a lot of J.D. Vance in his book, Hillbilly Elegy, maybe like what it was like for him to go back home, like after kind of spilling the beans on his whole town and family and stuff.
J.D. Vance wrote Hillbilly Elegy.
Yeah.
Oh,
You didn't know
wow.
that?
No.
Yeah, that's how he became famous. That's why is who he is. Hopefully he's not a vice president elect right now. But yeah, it kind of reminded me of his story, like a hillbilly elegy type guy, and he goes back home, and our friend Steve Spencer plays his father, who's deceased. So he kind of pops up in these ghostly ways throughout the movie. Check it out if it's playing near a theater near you. I don't know if it will. I don't think it has a release date quite yet.
So is the movie Hillbilly Elegy based off the J.D. Vance book?
Yes, it
I
is.
like it. Wow.
Yeah.
How did I not know this?
Yeah. Isn't Amy Adams in Hillbilly Elegy?
Yes. Directed by Ron Howard.
Amy Adams is in a movie that we did see together.
Nightbitch.
So this begins our festival experience together. You didn't see any movies before you came over, right?
No.
Yeah.
I was starting clean with Nightbitch, a morning Nightbitch, Friday morning.
Yeah. So I think at this point, maybe we should play our debrief from our first day.
Yes, our first in-person records ever.
True.
If you don't include the parking lot review from the Megalopolis episode.
So here is, should we call this a new segment? The debrief? The in-person debrief?
People love our segments, so
Yeah.
we'll just need a new music cue for it. Debrief.
Here's our brief debrief. Okay, it's Austin and Zach. We are back from our first day at the Chicago International Film Festival, the 60th.
Yes, I drove into Chicago last night, got in real late, and we started bright and early.
Woke up at like 8, had a little coffee.
Got our press passes, and then right into a documentary panel about documentary filmmaking.
Yes, which is kind of interesting. It was the industry days at the festival. They have like a few special events where you can listen to filmmakers talk about their craft.
Yeah, as a documentary filmmaker yourself, was there any insights that you got from this panel?
So it was 4 folks, one of which I think that I've run into at Cartemquin before. So he worked on America to Me, and he talked about that a little bit.
What's Cartemquin?
That's the documentary film production company that I interned for.
Okay.
They made like Hoop Dreams and...
What years were you doing that?
That was in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, there were a few filmmakers, and they had a really cool conversation about autonomy in documentary that I thought was kind of interesting. Somebody asked a question of like, how do you give your subject like autonomy, like respect them when you're making a documentary? And the filmmaker was like, you don't respect them? Like he was very adamant that like it's all about the art and you don't have to defer to your subject to see if their feelings are hurt or whatever.
Yeah, he was like, he's very upfront with them at the beginning. Like, I'm going to do whatever I want with this footage, and this is not a collaboration.
Yeah. And then the other filmmaker was arguing that point, saying that filmmaking is a community effort and that you should respect them. But yeah, I agreed with the German guy.
Yeah.
Because I think that you should, obviously work with your subject, but in the end, you're making a piece of art and you need to do whatever's right for the film.
So yeah, that was pretty interesting. That was just a warm-up for Nightbitch, though.
Yeah. Got our first press screening.
It was a morning bitch.
It was a morning bitch.
We were morning bitches.
11 a.m. We were there for the morning bitch. Yeah, Nightbitch. Amy Adams, Scoot McNairy. Based on a book, you said?
Yeah, a friend of mine was saying that they listened to the book on audiobook, I think, and they said they enjoyed it. Yeah, this is directed by someone named Marielle Heller. Oh, she also directed A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the Tom Hanks.
I like that. The Mr. Rogers movie?
The Mr. Rogers movie.
Yeah, that was okay.
And she also made Diary of a Teenage Girl, which I think I've seen before. It's a pretty good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Nightbitch, yeah, it's about a mother with a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't seem to love being a mother.
No, she's like suffocated. She's like, she is an artist, but she hasn't been able to work on her art because she's a mom and the dad isn't there very often. It seems like he's working like half the week.
Business trips or something, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's like she's taking care of the kid all by herself. And so she's like got all this kind of like pent up rage.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty well defined in the very first scene.
Yeah.
When she like runs into somebody at the grocery store and she's like, how do you like being a mom? She goes into a long monologue about how it's complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, that part was funny. It got some laughs from our crowd.
Yeah, it was a strong start.
Yeah, but it feels like it kind of repeats maybe that point, maybe a little bit too much. Or
yeah,
there's just a lot of scenes of her being
doing the same thing every day,
just being overwhelmed and exasperated by having to deal with a kid.
Yeah, but then she taps into something inside. The dog inside us.
The power of the dog. Yeah, she starts to seem like a body horror kind of thing of her slowly transforming into a dog.
Yeah.
Her growing hairs on her body where she shouldn't be growing hair.
Increased sense of smell.
And
she starts growling.
Additional nipples start to come into the picture.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. She looks in the mirror and has 6 nipples.
Yeah. But like her husband never even like notices the nipples.
No. And even though she like says it straight up, like she's like, I have 6 nipples.
Yeah, he ignores it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's like, is this in her head or is this real? Because like nobody's really...
Yeah.
The husband doesn't really acknowledge this stuff.
Yeah. So it's an interesting film about motherhood, and it kind of like reminds me of, like kind of like a Revolutionary Road or Pleasantville or maybe like American Beauty or like any of those like kind of cubicle movies where it's like, I need to break out of my shell.
Yeah, like my life is a prison.
Yes, exactly. Like suburbia is hell.
Yeah, but this is much more focused on the motherhood angle, which I don't know, feels a little bit unique. I feel like I haven't seen many movies with this perspective of someone that hates being a mom, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't seem like she hates it. It's like she clearly like loves her son, but like, yeah, I mean, she does like.
she's
she
not
resents.
happy.
Yeah, she resents the fact that she has to sacrifice her life for the kid.
Yeah, she's like an artist, but she doesn't have time to do art anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
She's just, this little kid is taking up her life. What do you think of the kid?
The kid was great.
Little blonde-haired boy.
Yeah, he was a cute kid. He did a great job. I thought the acting in this movie was great. I think it was the strongest part of the film, probably.
Yeah.
Amy Adams was really good.
Yeah, there was some laughs, more so in the beginning,
Yeah.
the first half of the movie. Felt like the laughter died down in the second half. Yeah, I feel like it didn't end very strong for me. I don't know, the ending felt a little weak and tacked on, or I don't know, it didn't really feel very satisfying of a conclusion. But I still had a fun time with Nightbitch. Wanted maybe a little bit more body horror, or like
a little bit more bitch.
I feel like it kind of
needs more dog.
Yeah. What were you saying, the Simpsons analogy?
Yeah, the red tick beer bit when they're drinking the red tick beer and it's like now made with more dogs. Like cuts to the lab where they're making the beer and there's dogs swimming around in the beer. The scientist tastes it and goes, needs more dog. That's my review of this movie.
Yeah. But
Dare to be Stupid. There's a good Weird Al needle drop.
Yeah, I thought it was a Devo song, but it was actually Weird Al copying the Devo thing.
Yeah.
And there's also a good Joanna Newsom needle drop near the end, which I enjoyed. I don't really see her music too much in movies. So it was an enjoyable film, I would say.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a bit flawed maybe, but I kind of had fun with it.
Yeah, I actually liked it. It did drop off after like halfway through. I found it a little I don't know. Yeah, the repetition of the tedious nature of her motherhood they were kind of beating it into your head. It's like, I get it.
Yeah.
It sucks being a mom. But
she kind of has a turn. She kind of turns around. Well, I don't want to spoil it too much.
Yeah, but
she starts turning into a dog. Anyway,
that's a pretty big spoiler, though. I did not know that she was going to turn into a dog.
Really, I did know that.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't. I thought she was going to turn into an animal of some sort, or if it was a dream or something. But I did not understand that it was going to be like kind of a werewolf type situation.
Yeah, it made me want to watch Puchinsky, which we might watch.
Which we will do. Which we are doing. So right after Nightbitch, we went to see David Lowery talk.
Yeah, he's a filmmaker I like. I've only seen 2 of his movies, The Green Knight and A Ghost Story, but I think both those movies are quite good. Very visually striking, artsy movies. And so I was pleasantly surprised that we were able to get to see him talk.
Yeah.
A lot of the Q&A and discussion was kind of about how he comes up with his imagery and how he's a very visual filmmaker in his shots.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah. He said the human face is the best special effect.
Yeah, he was talking about how he loves close-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of reminding me of David Lynch in a little bit, the way he approaches like wanting to do a project. Like he's like, I get an image in my head, and I want to like that's like that's the driving force behind the movie is like just like this image in my head, which I feel like I've heard David Lynch talk about that.
Yeah,
like it's just like the idea of trying to create an image that just pops into his head and making it a movie.
Yeah, it was a cool talk. It was a surprise to me because I didn't hear about this until a couple days ago, that this was going to be an event that we could pop into. But
I was all for it because he has a new short film, an animated short film I assume it's going to drop on Disney Plus in December. That is my guess, because it's like a Christmas animated film.
Yeah.
20 minutes long.
An almost Christmas story.
Yeah. And I guess we were some of the first people to ever see this film, so that was cool.
Mm-hmm. And it was the first time, he said it was the first time he's ever seen his own film.
Like with an audience.
With an audience.
Which seems crazy to me, because he has quite a few movies out. What was it was called? Almost Christmas Story?
An Almost Christmas Story. Yeah, it had John C. Reilly and Natasha Lyonne, Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah. John C. Reilly kind of steals the show, though.
Oh, of course.
He has a singing hobo, kind of.
Yeah. He's like the narrator.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this, it is an interesting Christmas story because it starts off with John C. Reilly just saying, like, what makes a Christmas story? Is it a tree? Is it snow? Is it just the fact that it takes place during December? And this particular story is about a little owl named Moon.
Yeah. And then he starts singing.
Yeah, it's just like a fa la la lee la da he da la la.
But it's like he's like a stop motion animated puppet.
Yeah,
which I really liked. It was reminding me of Wes Anderson's Fantastic Mr. Fox, because there's like a singer songwriter character in that movie that's also stop motion animated. So I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah,
I like this right away. And then it kind of moves more into CG, but like it looks like a blend of stop motion and CG.
It's all CGI. So when you walked out, like right when they were wrapping up the Q&A with the director, and he was saying that how he wanted it to look like the most tactile CGI that's ever been made.
Okay, so none of it's real.
None of it is real. It's all like he wanted it to look handmade, but it's all CGI.
Wow, I was really fooled, especially with the John C. Reilly bit at the beginning. I was like, this looks like a real physical object. Yeah,
because like the mouth movements aren't like super articulated.
Mm-hmm.
And everything looks like it's made of cardboard or wood, like carved wood or cardboard. Like there's all of like the character, like I don't know, you call them like NPCs in the short. You know, people are just like in the background. They're just these like cardboard cutouts, and the owl looks like kind of like carved wood, and all the people look like puppets. And it was a really sweet story about like an
single father. Jim Gaffigan.
Single owl father. Father of two.
Yeah.
And one of his owl sons loses his way, ends up falling into the tree that becomes the Rockefeller Center tree. Maybe we shouldn't give away too much, but needless to say, he gets into some New York antics.
Yeah, little owl in the Big Apple. And... yeah, it's very charming. Looks beautiful.
One of my favorite things I've seen so far.
Yeah, we were both charmed by it for sure. So whenever that movie comes out, you should definitely check it out. It's definitely a good one for the whole family.
Yeah, watch it on Christmas, or don't.
Show it to your kids.
Yeah, watch it whenever. It's nice. So then after that, we got Nando's chicken. Had ourselves a chicken.
Had a great chicken sando.
Sando at Nando's. And then we went up to see an Icelandic film that we had another press screening for called When the Light Breaks.
Yes. Yeah, this filmmaker, his name is Runar Runarsson. Runar Runarsson.
Some great names in this movie. Are you on the Letterboxd right now? Can you run down all the character names? Because it's like DD, Gree, Nee,
DD, Gree.
Everything is something I.
Yeah. Well, the main character is Una. And she's like kind of this androgynous, and she's in a band.
Pansexual.
Yeah, like super alternative, cool, artsy girl. And the movie starts with her boyfriend, Didi. But the thing is, they're not actually boyfriend and girlfriend. They're like cheating, or like they're having an affair. And he needs to break up with his long distance girlfriend, and he's planning on doing that. But then tragedy strikes. And
this movie it's really about grief, about being a young person dealing with grief in Iceland and taking shots of Stoli and listening to weird heavy metal Icelandic EDM.
Yeah, there's a great scene of them dancing to this really cool song.
Yeah.
That's like got this heavy metal vocals with like, but it's like dancey and electronic.
Yeah.
And I was like wondering, it's like, is this supposed to be their band that they're listening to?
Oh, maybe.
I wasn't sure. Like,
I didn't pick up that she was in a band.
Yeah, they were all in a band.
Is that it?
But they never show them perform as a
Okay.
band, which I was hoping like we would like get a scene of like them like watching like old live footage of them performing as a band because I would like to see that. But the whole movie takes place, I guess, in 24 hours.
Mhm.
Is like from like a sunset to sunset.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's very zoomed in on this one day,
Yeah.
this one tragic day. And I don't know, I was actually pretty locked in with this movie. I thought it looked beautiful and
Mm-hmm.
I thought the character dynamics were interesting, but like because she has to meet this guy's boyfriend or this guy's girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
and she has this secret about this affair and jealousy, but grief and all these weird emotions combining together. Yeah, and it's a short film. It's like 80 minutes, so I like that it's short, but I don't know, I feel like it packs a pretty good emotional punch, and I thought it looked good. It seemed like it was shot on film or had a film graininess to it that looked really nice.
Yeah.
And it had this cool score of like a robot singing like
Yeah, it was like a cigaros or something. Yeah.
but it's like a little robot singing.
It's like a vocoder or yeah, like a
Recurring motif in it. And I don't know, I was just kind of vibing with it. I enjoyed this movie.
yeah. I thought that it was an interesting portrayal of like young people going through something very traumatic, but pretty much 50% of this movie is people hugging and crying.
Yeah.
So that was getting a little repetitive for me. It's a very quiet movie about a very specific thing. It's not trying to do too much, but it is dramatically powerful, I think. But
Yeah.
am I gonna watch it again? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not rewatch it, but you know, I have appreciation for kind of simple, very like low key kind of movies like that feel very real, and
Mm-hmm.
it just felt very well executed to me, and all the characters felt believable, and the performances felt real.
Yeah, cinematography was really crisp, and yeah, the acting was great.
Yeah, it's just and the Icelandic nature of it all like gave it a little extra edge for me, just because I'm not used to
Great
seeing.
haircuts.
Yeah, I'm not used to seeing Icelandic film. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I give a thumbs up.
I liked it too. But I would say it's probably
Yeah.
not something you're just gonna like pop on a Friday night.
No, but if you like movies that explore grief or, you know, sudden death, you know, this might be a good one to turn on. And weird relationship dynamics, you know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like how a band can be a family, film with family.
There we go.
Yeah, real fun first day. All right, Nightbitch out.
Good night, bitch.
Good night, bitch.
Have a good night, bitch. Forgot about that. I forgot about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, it's a good thing we recorded the debrief.
Yeah, we needed that brief debrief. Anything that stood out to you there? Any changed feelings about Nightbitch, about a Christmas movie, about When the Light Breaks?
I feel like I whenever I think about Nightbitch, maybe I like it a little less than
Really?
I don't know.
I'm having the opposite reaction. I actually am liking it a little bit more.
Okay. I don't even know what it's just in my memory. It's like was that good? It was just
Yeah.
it was kind of a silly movie, which I mean I like that it wasn't taking itself too seriously.
Well, with all the
But
movies that we've seen since then, it's like feels like a distant memory now. It's like
mhm.
in the haze of the whole festival. But I just keep thinking of Amy Adams like going like "Arr." Like when she's like gnashing her teeth and growling. Like I just like that image is kind of burnt into my head. And well, we can't really reveal too much. It's not getting released until when?
December 6th?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to be worth seeing, and I know it was a popular book, so it might make a splash.
And now knowing that David Lowery animated film that didn't have any stop motion in it makes me like it a little less.
Mm, yeah. I
But
mean,
it tricked me.
it did trick you. It was very vivid CGI. I mean, he did what he set out to do. Like we said, he was like trying to make a handmade CGI feel. But I don't know, maybe there's a few things in there that were stop motion. Since we're talking about stop animation, should we talk about another movie that we saw?
We could talk about Memoir of a Snail, which we didn't get to see together, but we had a screener of it,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd be fools not to take up that screener.
Yes. What were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I was very impressed with it. It was just yeah, this you could tell this was true stop motion animation. There's probably some CGI used, but it definitely felt like the bulk of it was CGI, or I mean, was stop motion. And we actually got to see a little one of the puppets or one of the figures
Yeah.
at that mixer. They had that Arctic monkey
Yeah.
that's only in it for like a 10-second scene, but
Yeah, that's why
they had him there.
they're like, we can spare this one.
I thought he was going to be a main character, but it's just like a quick moment.
But the actual the main character, Grace, was on the red carpet. Did you see that photo of
Oh
her?
no.
They had the little figurine of the main character, Gracie.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen this on the big screen.
Yes.
I mean, it still looked great on my laptop, but
Hmm.
yeah, I bet it would looked really amazing blown up. But yeah, very visually impressive movie and very, very depressing movie too.
Yeah.
But it also had a lot of humor to balance it out. So
Hmm. That was my main thing is like equal parts sweet and silly, and then also raw, mature, kind of graphic at times.
yeah, there's boobs in it and just
Yeah.
nudity and like yeah, I remember the shot of like the bloody tooth going back into the gums was really
Yeah.
visceral.
Yeah, that was giving me like Substance vibes a little bit. You know that scene where she like pulls her
Yeah,
teeth
yeah.
out?
Yeah, this time was a tooth going in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
And
gross.
then yeah, some very deep themes, like existential themes. I mean, the whole thing starts off on a very melancholy note and kind of stays in that realm, but because it is an animated film, it offers some grace to do some like silly things within that.
It's very bleak movie. I don't know. I thought it was good. I liked it. And it's kind of a family movie kind of.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a very much about her connection with her twin brother, even though
Hmm.
they get separated early on in the film, but they like are writing letters to each other and you're kind of seeing their lives play out in parallel with each other. But it is kind of about how difficult it is to not have a family because her parents they die very early on and get separated from her twin brother, so she lives a very lonely, familyless life, and it's quite depressing.
Yeah. Let's just read the description here. Memoir of a Snail, director Sam Elliott. This is an Australian film. And in this unique stop motion animation, a melancholy misfit recounts the tragic but beautiful tale of her life and her pet snails.
It's actually Adam Elliott, not Sam Elliott.
I said, Sam?
I
Oh.
think he said Sam Elliott, like the mustache guy.
um, so I saw the ads for this, and I did kind of try to limit my screen time with the trailers, so I didn't know too much. But I mean, it's so visually striking; you kind of know off the bat like what you're in for in terms of stop motion. But
hmm
this, I would say, it's closer to like a Wes Anderson film or a Charlie Kaufman film, even like the existential themes and the pacing of the storytelling kind of reminded me of Wes Anderson at times. So don't be fooled by the stop animation. This is a very serious film, actually.
Yeah, and I don't know, just the look of it, it's very desaturated and Tim Burton-y when he does stop
Hmm.
motion kind of stuff, and just yeah, it just like has this kind of depressing gothic look to it just by looking at it. It just like looks
Hmm.
very dreary,
Yeah,
but it works very well for the story it's telling. And it's got a great vocal performance by Sarah Snook from Succession.
she's Gracie, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't know it's her from her voice because it's got that nice Australian accent. Doesn't sound anything like her
Hmm.
Succession counterpart, but I thought she did a great job as a voice actor. It also has an actor from Babe Pig in the City. Babe's mom is
Oh,
does a voice in this film, so that was a nice connection to Babe Pig in the City. She's a funny Australian actress.
but yeah, I guess this movie's getting an R rating for sexual content, nudity, and violent content.
I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shots of boobs in it,
Mm-hmm.
claymation boobs or whatever it is.
Yeah. So this movie's already out in Australia, and I know that in a few weeks, Music Box is going to start showing it. So it'll have a limited release. But get out there and see Memoir of a Snail if you see it in a local theater, because it is a very gorgeous and unique animated film.
Yeah. And I do want to check out this guy's other film, which has been on my radar for a long time, called Mary and Max, which
Mm.
came out in 2009, and it stars Toni Collette and Philip Seymour Hoffman as the
Oh,
voice actors, or two of my favorite actors. So I got to go back and check out Mary and Max for sure.
cool. Keep that on my list as well. Should we move on to our other debrief?
Yeah, we did do another debrief.
We're going to play this even longer brief to brief. This includes us reviewing the 24-hour Music Box of Horrors film festival that we also went to that Saturday that you were here, which was super fun. Saw a
Mhm.
ton of great movies, but you'll have to be a Patreon member if you want to hear that part of it. We're sticking with the festival on this episode.
We even dip into The Apprentice a little bit. You'll have to sign up for Patreon and listen to that too.
um, but let's dig into the parts where we debrief the actual festival. Let's see what we got here. We went back to Chicago International Film Fest to see On Becoming a Guinea Fowl.
Yes, this is a great movie. I guess it's an A24 movie that's set to be released 2025. I think I saw.
Yeah,
So it's got a little bit of time before people get to see this one.
yeah.
But yeah, I was very impressed by this movie, set in modern day Zambia, Africa.
Yeah.
And that's just I'm not used to seeing movies set there. So that was a lot of the appeal of it, but it was just a very good, kind of surreal, but also down to earth, funny, tragic. It somehow balanced all of these different tones in a really seamless way, and I was just locked in.
Yeah. It was super funny. Cousin movie.
Yeah, there's some great cousins in there.
Family.
Yeah, a good family movie because it's all about an uncle dying she just finds her uncle dead in the road, and she's just super nonchalant about it, and that's like a lot of comedy right off the start from that. But there's some sinister secrets underneath that we won't spoil.
Yeah. As somebody who spent a lot of time in Ghana, this was the first movie I've seen, I think maybe ever. I can't point to anything else. I mean, I know that obviously there are, but I can't point to any other movies that depict modern day Africa in such an accurate way. And, like the way that people dress, the way that they use song in their everyday lives, the politics and the cultural norms of funerals in Africa are very complex.
Yeah, the movie's pretty much centered around this idea of a funeral.
Yeah, and I mean, I went to a lot of funerals in Ghana, and they are like these big events that like can be like a week long, and there are a lot of pressure on the families because they have a lot to do for the community because the community all shows up to these events, and so it's a lot of social pressure on top of this grief, and just the way that they depicted all of those things like was very familiar to me, and I was just like really, really appreciated how they showed that, because it's something that most people don't know about, I don't think, unless you've spent some time in Africa.
Yeah.
So it was a really cool, powerful. Yeah, I think you're right. Like the balancing of tones is its major accomplishment because it goes all over the map and it's very seamless.
Yeah. It was I was thinking about that other movie we watched for the festival, All the Light Breaks, when I was watching, because they're both...
When the Light Breaks, yeah.
They're all centering around like a character dying and the aftershocks of like a character dying and what it means to the other characters. But in that movie, in All the Light Breaks, the main character was like emotionally devastated and crying all the time. But this one, the main character is just like stone-faced, like super cold about it. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was an interesting contrast and some similarities there. But
yeah,
I thought this movie was a good deal better. My favorite of the fest so far.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so yesterday we continued our journey through the festival and got a free viewing of Blitz with Saoirse Ronan, a Steve McQueen film.
Yeah, this movie's getting a lot of Oscar buzz, so we're like, we have to see it.
And
but we weren't buzzing after we saw it.
No, yeah, it was... we both agreed that it was our least favorite of everything that we've seen so far. It was just a very melodramatic
World War II
film, basically centered around this little boy who jumps off a train and is finding himself in all sorts of situations throughout the war.
It takes place during the Blitzkrieg of London just getting bombed all the time by Nazis.
Yeah.
And so Saoirse Ronan is like a single mom to this kid, and she's like has to like send him away to be in a safer place, I guess. And he's feeling a little resentful about that. In a Lady Bird-esque move, he jumps off the train.
Oh, right, yeah.
How Lady Bird jumps out of the car.
Good call.
Out of a moving vehicle. And it's basically like Homeward Bound. It's a Homeward Bound story, trying to get back home.
Yeah.
But it's just not good.
We just, I mean, it looks beautiful, I would say. And I would say like all of the war set pieces where, you know, the bombs are actually dropping, like that opening scene with
the fire hose.
The fire hose was really intense.
Yeah, fire hose whipping everywhere, smacking people in the face. I was like, this is cool.
Yeah. There's a scene with Stephen Graham, you know Stephen Graham from The Irishman, who plays like Albert. Because like the kid like falls in with this
bunch of no good
street urchins. Yeah.
Petty thievers.
Yeah. And it was just so British. Like, oi!
Yeah, it's a very British movie.
No blood.
Yeah.
Not a drop of blood spilled in World War II, I guess.
Yeah, they could have took a page out of Riccio and added some little gore to this film and would have helped the production, I think.
Yeah, seriously. The first scene was so intense, and I was like, wow, we're really in for it with this movie, but there's nothing even getting close to that level for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, Steve McQueen, he did 12 Years a Slave, and he did all these Small Axe movies that I liked for Prime a couple years back. He's not a bad filmmaker, but this one I couldn't really connect with. I did like Saoirse, you know. I'm still a Saoirse Ronan fan, but you were saying you didn't totally buy her as a Brit.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like she's more convincing as an American, honestly.
Even though she's like Irish or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
she does great. I mean, she looks beautiful. She's singing in this movie, which I was impressed with.
Yeah, she has a nice little song in there.
She's got a great voice. I assume it's her voice. It seems like it is.
Yeah, basically, anytime you're just like watching a scene with the main little boy, it's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
The boy wasn't giving us juice.
Yeah.
The scenes with Saoirse Ronan got a little bit more juice, but as a whole, the movie doesn't really hang together.
Yeah. I was thinking of Jasmine's criticism of Furiosa a lot, where she's just like, I don't like kids. And I was like, maybe Jasmine's onto something here.
Don't put kids in movies.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't really care. Like, the acting just, like, becomes very obvious.
And I feel like it's even harder to connect with British children.
Yeah. There's the scene on the train where it's like, oi, I'm Tommy. These are my brothers.
We're hungry. Can you have a bit of sandwich? It's like, fuck off.
Fuck off. Yeah, so we weren't super impressed with Blitz. When we walked out of the theater, this lady was like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, kind of melodramatic for me. Kind of processing how bad it was. she did like give this look like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what she expected to hear, but
yeah, I was the first one to give her feedback too. So she was like, probably, I don't know. I hope she didn't have like some direct hand. Maybe like the writer or something.
That'd be funny if she wrote the movie. It kind of sucked.
Any remaining or lingering thoughts about Guinea Fowl or Blitz?
I guess I feel the same way as we did in the debriefs, but yeah, like I have like this list of my ranking of all the movies of 2024. I have Guinea Fowl all the way up at the fourth slot.
Wow,
It was really high up.
that's amazing.
I don't know. I really liked it, and I don't really have anything bad to say about it. So that every time I think about that movie, I think about it very fondly.
Yeah.
So not only a highlight of the festival, a highlight of the whole year for me.
Wow. Yeah. I really want Clement to see it.
Yeah, talking with you about your experiences in Africa and how it felt very accurate to that experience made me like the movie more too. So cool, great music in the movie too. I don't know if we mentioned that, but it was good shit.
Yeah, and Blitz is a bomb. Yeah, I think it was getting a lot of Oscar buzz, but now it seems like the critical reception is sort of in line with what we're thinking too.
Yeah, it's trying to be Oscar bait, but I think people are going to sniff it out and realize it's not that good.
Yeah, sniff the Blitz. And so, yeah, you went to go see Universal Language right after that debrief on your way out of Michigan. What was that experience like? I don't think we've talked about that yet.
That was a very nice experience. I'm glad I did that. Yeah, this movie, Universal Language, is directed by Matthew Rankin, a Canadian filmmaker.
3 overlapping stories set in a surreal, not too distant future create a deadpan picture of life in Winnipeg that's both hilarious and heartwarming.
Yeah, it's set in Winnipeg, Canada, but it almost feels like it's set in Iran or Iran. I don't know, just there's a lot of like Arabic scripture and most of the characters are Iranian. So it's an interesting kind of cultural combination of Canada and Iran. It sounded a bit odd, but it works pretty well for the movie. It feels like it's its own little reality, its own little world. And yeah, it did remind me of Wes Anderson a little bit with its shot composition. It's a lot of deep focus, wide shots, and a lot of symmetry going on. And the writing of it is funny and quirky in the way a Wes Anderson movie is, but it felt like it was doing enough of its own thing that it felt unique. Yeah, it was great. I really liked it. It does feel a little like aimless when you're watching it, and so I was like a little unsure of like where it was going when I was watching it, but the end of the movie, like it really ties all the threads together quite nicely, and I found it to be a very satisfying and kind of emotionally affecting ending. So that
Nice.
I was pleasantly surprised with that. It has a thing with birds in it. Well, it's got turkeys. Turkeys are all over this movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, another movie I also saw a screener of Peacock has peacocks in it, and then you got guinea fowl. This festival, it's the festival of the
For the
birds.
birds.
Then you got Conclave with the cardinals. The birds all over this festival.
In one fell swoop, the bird has come in to steal the year away.
Steal it from the dogs and the pigs and the horses. Now it's the year of the birds. Yeah, a lot of turkeys in this movie, and they're used in a very comedic, funny way. I don't know. I was just very impressed with this movie, and the director was actually there, which I didn't know. I didn't realize he was there. He was going to be there for this screening. I just thought it was a regular screening, but there's a nice talk back with him, a Q&A with the director, Matthew Rankin, who actually acts in the film. He's one of the characters, which I didn't realize till he popped up and it's like, hey, that was the guy in the movie. But he was like talking about how this movie was inspired by a lot of Iranian filmmakers and films that I've never heard of. But it seems like he's got a lot of eclectic tastes and interests that all kind of blended into this movie in a really cool way. And yeah, he was a very well spoken dude, and I was glad to be able to see that little talk back with him.
That's awesome. And then, so you saw Peacock too, which we were supposed
Yeah.
to see, but we snubbed for The Apprentice. Did we
Mhm.
did we do the wrong thing? Should we have gone to Peacock?
I think I'm not mad with what we did because I wasn't too
Okay.
impressed with Peacock.
Okay.
It is better than the Apprentice movie, just a little bit. Yeah, this is a German film called Peacock.
Bernhard Wenger is the director from Austria/Germany. And the description reads, in need of a cultured boyfriend, a perfect son, Matthias is available for rent in this incisive comedy that levels up the renta genre. I don't know if that's a genre, but
No. Yeah.
I can't think of any other renta genre.
This movie did remind me of Yorgos Lanthimos, in terms of its humor and just the vibe it was going for, except it's more of a straight comedy. There's not because more Yorgos, I feel like he has more darkness, maybe more
Mm.
of violence tinged in his stories. And this
Mhm.
one, it just felt more like kind of like a comedy about a sad white guy. But there's definitely some fun stuff in there, but I was just kind of a little underwhelmed by it. I was able to watch on my TV with the nice Chicago International Film Festival app. So that was nice, but I don't know. I just wasn't too impressed with it. I think maybe part of it was I didn't really like the main actor in it, who
Mm.
was actually he was in All Quiet on the Western Front. Speaking of that movie, he was one of the
Oh.
main guys in that movie, but I don't know. He's just a very handsome, mustached guy, and I just kind of got sick of looking at his face, and that's what most of this movie is.
You couldn't take
Um,
his handsome face.
yeah, I got a little tired of that.
Mm.
And yeah, it just felt like, unlike Universal Language, which felt Wes Anderson-y, but it felt different enough that it was like doing its own thing. This felt just like a cheap Yorgos Lanthimos ripoff to me, and it didn't really feel like it was adding enough new ideas to it
Mm.
to make it feel like he was doing his own thing as a director. That was
Mm.
kind of my view of it. But, if you have a taste for Yorgos Lanthimos and that kind of vibe, I think you might have some fun with Peacock.
Cool. Well, yeah, I saw a couple movies separately from you too. So one of them is a movie called Eephus. It's directed by Carson Lund. The description is two adult baseball teams play one final game on their beloved field in this shaggy, delightful, and nostalgic portrait of a fading America. Yeah,
Ah,
so it's about like these kind of older, middle-aged, older guys playing a pickup game of baseball in like New England. And I'll just say a couple cool things about this movie is the voiceover is Frederick Wiseman, the
oh,
documentary filmmaker who did Menus Plaisir that we talked about earlier this year.
well, it
Um,
seems like it's right up your alley. You're a baseball guy, you're a Wiseman head.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing about this movie is it is like a Wiseman film. It is like extreme slow cinema. So this baseball game happens in real time in the movie.
It's a full game, kind of.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it goes like, and it's supposed to be like the last game on this field that's going to be like bought out by a company, and so the game is going long for different reasons, and so they like play way into the night, and um, it's a really interesting format that like I was like, wow, are they really just playing this game like strike by strike? And then was looking into it while I was watching it. I was like, oh, Frederick Wiseman's a part of this. That makes total sense. Like it's kind of complementing his style. So
Hmm.
it emphasized the like intentional so slow pacing and like the documentary feel of it. Also ends with a Tom Waits song. So it's good.
You were in love with it.
It wasn't a home run. Maybe it was a double, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what the Eephus pitch is? It's like
Nope.
this pitch where like they throw it like a giant arc. And so it comes down over the plate like just in time to be a
Okay.
strike, but it goes way up and down. And so it's like an intentionally slow pitch. And so it fits with the theme or like the pacing of the movie.
Intentionally slow movie.
Intentionally slow movie.
Did they do a Eephus pitch in the movie?
Yes, they do.
Awesome.
You got to see this thing.
You got to see this pitch.
So I saw a documentary called Slice of Life, which is about various people using Pizza Hut buildings, like the architecture of old Pizza Hut buildings for various different things.
Yeah, they got that very iconic Pizza Hut roof.
Yeah, and the windows and yeah, so they go all around the country to different Pizza Huts and see what people are doing in these Pizza Huts. And it's kind of a little it's kind of a little bit of a history of Pizza Hut too. They go to the
Wow.
Pizza Hut Museum
Have you
and
ever been to Pizza Hut? I've never. I don't
of
think I've ever been.
course.
I've never been.
Of course. When I was living in Detroit, it was a big thing going to Pizza Hut. We'd go to the parlor, you know. It was a nice family restaurant with the tabletop
Hmm.
Pac-Man. Remember
Oh
those
yeah. Yeah,
tabletop
I think I did
Pac-Mans?
go to Pizza Hut in college, but it wasn't like the classic building. It was like
Hmm.
part of some other building, so it wasn't the full experience.
Yeah, I mean they've gone way down.
Yeah.
So the other movie that I saw was the new Errol Morris film, another director that we've talked about this year when we talked about his first movie, Gates of Heaven. It's his new documentary about the family separation program during the Trump administration.
Called Separated. I
Yes.
watched it this morning actually.
Oh, you watched it too?
Yeah, I had some free time and I had the screener, so I was like, I'll pop on Separated.
Yeah. Um, Not a fun watch.
Yeah, it was more watchable than I was expecting, honestly. I thought
Yeah.
it'd be a little bit more traumatic to watch,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it is very more focused on like the politics side of it. It feels like to me, or
Mm-hmm.
talking with the people that were involved in the this whole separation process, and
Yeah, I mean it's horrifying. And it's such bullshit. It's insane what they did, you know, basically using this traumatic experience to deter people from coming to America and, you know, all the ins and outs of, you know, Kirsten Nielsen and John Kelly, who's now like everybody's hero because he called Trump a fascist, even though he was one of the people that implemented his most fascist tactics.
hmm
So, I mean, it was very illuminating, very eye-opening. And this is all despite it being a MSNBC movie, which,
hmm
you know, right off the bat, I was very skeptical of.
Grandma's channel of choice.
But yeah, I mean, so Errol Morris recently has been doing a lot of documentaries about like old white guys and FBI agents and writers and he's been doing Chipotle commercials and this movie though I feel like is finally using his powers for some good here like it's like Errol is back.
Hmm
You know, this was reminding me of his movie Fog of War, which is McNamara's recounting of the atrocities of Vietnam. And so
hmm
in this movie, you've got a guy who was deeply a part of, I think, the Office of Refugee Resettlement or um,
Yeah.
one of the immigration departments, and he just lays it all out of how they did this and the horror that they did, and it's just so upsetting and awful. And I actually, so the guy who gave us the screener, I emailed him, and this is what I wrote. This is what I wrote. I said, "Thanks for the screener. I found this to be illuminating, horrifying, and Morris's most effective work in years. This is an urgent story that helped me reflect on the atrocities of the Trump presidency while we're awash in the dishonest things were better than talking points. But it begs the question, why isn't this being shown before the election? I think it could be a powerful tool to sway some voters. And
Mhm.
that was my main thing. I was like, why are they not putting this on TV right now?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to come out in December, on
Yeah.
MSNBC, and it's like been shown at some film festivals or whatever before that. But yeah, definitely this needs to get out there. People need to be reminded
Hmm.
this disgusting thing that
Policy. Yeah.
happened. So yeah, I agree with that. It definitely would be nice if this was out there before the election, because it's
Hmm.
another one of the many things to say bad about Trump. This is one of the top things for
Yeah. It's
sure.
horrifying and horrendous. And he responded that the film has a New York and a LA release and is having some screenings in San Diego, Phoenix, San Antonio, and Austin, playing in a bunch of festivals. So I would say check it out if you're in any of those areas. But yeah, it's such a shame that they didn't put this on the air before the fucking election.
Yeah, one critique maybe I had is that it doesn't really speak to any of the like actual like people that were like affected by this. It's like all
Mm,
just like the higher up guys that were kind of more involved in the politics of it. And I feel like I would have liked to seen more of that side of the story, to see like children or parents that were separated. Like you don't get any of that in this movie, which I was expecting to see. Or and it's mostly done with, they just like show reenactment footage of like
mm.
a child separation thing, and there's no real footage that you really get to see of it happening. So
Yeah, but I'll say that I thought that I typically don't love his recreations in documentaries, and in general, I don't really love recreations, but I thought this one was probably the better of his films that I've seen. And the way that they depicted it, like there's some really haunting imagery of like their eyes going past slats and rail cars and hiding under trains, and
yeah,
I thought it was actually pretty well done.
yeah, I did like the image of all the migrant children on the bus when they were talking about how there's still like over 1,000 children that haven't been reunited with their families still, like to this
Hmm.
day. And like they showed an image of like them all on
Hmm.
a bus. I thought that was a pretty powerful image. So
Yeah. And he does this thing throughout the movie where he's using the border wall. Like if you're passing it really quickly, he kind of makes it look like a zoetrope, like a flip book. And then he has these animations that go with like the zoetrope border look. I don't know. I thought it was like a really cool little effect that he puts in throughout the movie.
mhm.
So yeah, great stuff. Errol Morris separated. Check it out whenever it comes on. And then finally, I got to see, speaking of saving the children, I saw a movie called Save the Children. And this is actually a documentary from 1973 about an expo that was put on by Reverend Jesse Jackson's coalition called the Push Coalition. So this is back in 73. And this is one of the best music documentaries I've ever seen. Like this is up there with Summer of Soul, Monterey Pop Festival,
Woodstock.
Woodstock, Last Waltz, all that
Oh yeah.
stuff. Incredible. Like I can't describe. I mean, the one thing about this movie is it's a lot shorter than those movies, so you're only getting like quick samples and rarely you get like a full song. But we're talking Bill Withers, Sammy Davis Jr., Gladys Knight and the Pips, Isaac Hayes, Marvin Gaye,
Hmm.
fucking Curtis Mayfield, Jackson 5.
All at their peak, probably.
Yes. Yes, this is mid 70s. This is like peak music era. And these are like our best musicians in their prime. It has very much the same energy as Summer of Soul, but the difference is that it feels a lot more intimate because even though there were a ton of people at this expo, thousands of people. It's inside of an event hall, and like you kind of get these nice, intimate performances. And yeah, again, this is a movie that did come out in the 70s, but it got like kind of a limited release and got buried. And so they did the same sort of restoration process that they did for Summer of Soul. So it's just an incredible document that just blew me away.
Are
It's
there interviews
remarkable.
a part of it, or is it just like straight music?
No interviews. It's just the expo, and it's intercut with some speeches from different like gospel artists and Reverend Jesse Jackson. So there is some like speaking parts of it. But yeah, everything that you see is captured there, and like on the streets of Chicago too. Like so, it's kind of cool to see some stuff like 70s Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just the music is amazing. Temptations, best musicians, best music, best city. I was just floored by this. Even though it's not a new movie, and I guess you can watch it on Netflix now, looks like.
Oh, okay. I gotta put that in my Netflix watch list now. Yeah, I love Summer of Soul, so I'd be very much interested to check that out.
Yeah, I loved it. And I didn't realize it was a Netflix movie or on Netflix, but it was really great to see it in the theater. And it's very powerful. And I mean, the message is about peace and about, saving the future and a lot of very relevant things for America today. And
Mm-hmm.
it's bittersweet, but there's a great moment with Sammy Davis Jr. singing I Gotta Be Me. And he kind of opens it with this political dialogue because I guess he was kind of a Republican or wasn't aligned politically with the people there. So he gives a kind of a speech before he does the song.
I am not here, but as only one way. I am here because I have come home as a black man. Disagree, if you will, with my politics, but I will not allow anyone to take away the fact that I am black. Now, that's all I can say, except that I would like to sing, if you would like for me to sing. Whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, whether I find a place in this world or never belong, I gotta be me, I gotta be me. What else can I be but what I am? I wanna live.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and Zach, we just gotta be us too.
We're just cousins who like to podcast about movies. Gotta be us.
So
There's one more movie I saw yesterday that we haven't talked about called Cloud.
oh, you watch Cloud.
I watched the Cloud screener, and this
Nice.
is by this Japanese filmmaker Kiyoshi Kurosawa. I guess he's most known for his horror films. Last week I watched his movie Pulse, which is a very good spooky horror movie, kind of about like the early age of the internet. It's like it was made in 2001, but it's about ghosts and the digital age, and it's very creepy and very, very effective little horror movie. So that got me pumped up to check out this new movie that I got to see called Cloud. But this movie is not a horror movie. It's about this guy named Yoshi, and he's a reseller of things. Like he kind of a scalper. He buys up all the product of something that he thinks is going to be a hot item, and then he just like resells it on the internet for like 10 times the price. And that's like the kind of life he has, and he's got a girlfriend, and eventually he starts to get a list of enemies or people kind of fucks over a lot of people by doing this process. So then it kind of turns into a movie where people start taking revenge on him.
Revenge tale.
Yeah, kind of a revenge tale but the main character is like the one that's getting the revenge taken on him.
Mm.
So you're kind of following the guy that's being the dickhead. So it's definitely an interesting movie. I was really vibing with it the first half of the movie, or maybe the first two thirds. I feel like the last act of the movie, I feel like it loses the plot a little bit for me. It kind of
Mm.
becomes more of an action movie, which is kind of interesting, but not really what I wanted. But you know, I saw it.
Well, I'm glad you did. I was deterred from watching it because it had a big old gross watermark on it, and I kind of didn't even want to deal with that. But were you able to
Yeah.
fight past the watermark?
Yeah, it said sample very in big letters, but it was an had an opacity to it, so
Yeah.
I got used to it. But yeah, there's some powerful scenes in this movie, and yeah, there's definitely I want to check out a lot more of movies by this guy. He's made a bunch of movies, but I guess his most famous movie, Cure, that's like his most well-regarded movie. I still need to see as a horror movie from the 90s. But I want to check out more Kurosawa. This movie wasn't my favorite, but it definitely is interesting. And if you like this director, I think you should check it out. And one funny tidbit I found cool is that the main actor in it, this guy named Masasaki Suda, also
Hmm.
voiced the Heron in Boy and the Heron,
Wow.
the original Japanese voice of the Heron.
Bringing it back around to last year's Chicago International Film Festival.
Another bird movie.
And another fucking bird movie. God.
Sick of these goddamn birds in my movies.
What is this, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds?
Yeah, but he's a good actor. He's very compelling in the movie.
The
So,
owl, too.
oh, the fucking owl, Moon, the owl, and the David Lowery short. Fuck,
Fuck. These
that's
birds
like
are taking.
well, that's like six birds just at this
Yeah.
festival.
All right. Year of the bird.
It's the year of the bird now. We thought it was the year of the pig or the horse. It's the bird.
Could have been the
Um,
dog. It's the bird.
Yeah, so now that covers every movie that I watched for this festival. So I watched 10 films in total, which is barely any considering how many there's so many movies at this festival. I
Yeah.
counted and just movies that dealt with family, I counted 41 movies that are like centered around family. Woo! And there's way more movies beyond that.
Yeah. There's a few that I'm sad that we missed, like The End, the Joshua Oppenheimer movie, Amelia Perez, Flow, it's a cat movie.
Here,
Here.
Zemeckis was at the festival. He got like some award.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big Mike Myers event that we missed.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool things happening at the festival that we didn't get to experience, but I'm really happy with what we did see.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a nice batch. Can't see them all. And
Yeah.
we took advantage of most of the screeners that they sent us, most of the press screenings that we were allowed,
Mhm.
and managed to have a great time.
And I hope they let us come back next year.
Of course, with content like this, how can they not?
Yeah, we didn't get any interviews with directors like we did last year, which is too bad. But the movies that we covered last year, you can now stream now. So All Happy
Right.
Families, Corolla Rose's film, you can like rent for $4 on Prime or YouTube or whatever if you want
Mhm.
to catch that movie. And also Family Portrait is on Tubi.
Ah, check those out.
Yeah, check those out from last year when we interviewed the directors.
Some classics from season one.
Do you have a favorite from the fest? Your top film of the fest?
Gotta say it. Conclave.
Really?
I honestly I do think so. Like some guy asked me that
Not
actually while
not
I
Save
was
the Children?
I think it was Save the Children. Yeah, because the guy asked me when I was getting my ticket for Save the Children. He was like, "Oh, what's your favorite of the fest so far?" And I said Conclave and Separated. But walking out of Save the Children, I saw that guy again. I was like, I I'm changing my mind. It's actually Save the Children. But that's not a new movie. So, I mean, it was an incredible experience and a great film and a great historical document. But if we're talking movies, I think Conclave is a all-timer. I think people are going to be going back to this movie for a while.
Wow. I got to get my ticket today.
Go clave it up.
I'm going to clave.
Look out, I'm going to clave. Everybody stand back. And we were joking about going to see Conclave dressed as popes, and looks like people have actually started doing that. People got Conclave fever.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Clave. And,
I've hyped it up way too much. There's no way you're going to like this movie anymore.
Well, I mean, I love Ray Fiennes and Stanley Tucci. I mean, they're great actors, so there's no way I'm not gonna enjoy it, I think.
You can't miss.
Yeah, I think Becoming a Guinea Fowl and Universal Language were my favorites that I got to see at the festival.
It was a great festival. It was a great season. Great work, Zach.
Great work, Austin.
Great, over 30 episodes, I think, this season.
Yeah, between the Patreon and the main feed.
So there's still a lot of stuff out there. Maybe you missed a few episodes this season. Go back to the main feed or check out the Patreon. Because you know what? We love the movies.
And we love our family. Yeah, you can follow us at Film with Family on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
And if you'd like to send us an email, let us know what you thought about this season. What was your favorite episode? Is it the year of the dog? Is it the year of the bird?
Yeah, tell us what year of the animal it was.
And you can email us at filmwithfamilypodcast@gmail.com.
And you can also follow us on Patreon, where you can get a bonus episode every month, $1.99 a month. Even though season on the main feed is ending, we're going to continue to put out episodes on there. And I think we're going to be having an extended version of this episode on Patreon as well, where we talk about every movie we saw when we were in Chicago. So, yeah. And thank you, Chicago International Film Festival, for having us. It was a pleasure. You treated us very well.
Yeah, great as always, and we're excited to come back next year, and we're excited to see you, the listener, next year for season 3 of Film with Family. Have a good night, bitch.
Night, bitch.